Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you joined me today. Today we're going to continue to work on the Dakota. And the goal for today is to finish with the sheet metal work on the truck. All I want to see left by the end of the day is that cab. A few days ago, I started shooting the footage for the other side over there. Didn't kind of go as expected. So I decided to remove I tried not to include the footage. But I'm going to show you what I did basically over there, but over here. And we're going to get this sheet metal removed and get back to that. If I feel a little bit ambitious, I'm going to go ahead and start removing the interior because I really want to see the floor pan of this truck. So thanks for joining me today. Let's get to work. Okay, as you can see, I have all the computer, the radiator overfill box, and the antenna disconnected. Now, technically, you should use a special tool to remove the antenna base, but I use just a screwdriver and a hammer. And I got all that disconnected from this fender. And when I take these off, I like to do them in pieces. If you go ahead and remove all these items from the wheel well, you can remove the wheel well and fender together. I'm not. I'm going to unbolt the wheel well from inside the fender. And you'll see a bunch of bolts in there, and you will unbolt all those, and then you can separate the fender and the wheel well and take them off separately, which is what I'm going to do. Okay, you can see your first wheel well to fender bolt here, and they go around the inside here, and they're 1/2 inch. So I'm going to take those off and start moving forward to getting these two things separated. This one was at kind of an odd angle, so I could just put this up in here and get it this way. It's also very tight. So when I'm taking off the fender, I try to start at the bottom and work my way up, because if I take off the top and then I'm working on the bottom, the fender could literally fall off without me being able to control the fall. So I'm going to take these off. These are the first two. This is what attached the fender to the frame and the cab with these two nuts. So I'm going to break them free. Yeah, actually it's correct. With this, in hopes that it works. On the other side, these nuts were kind of what gave me a problem. And that looks like that one's going to come off easy. It's definitely loosening up. It looks like we're good. I'm going to take off my extension here. And then we'll go to the front and do the front ones. And we're out. Let's move up front. So on the front here, all you have to worry about is this bolt, and then the rest are up top. Okay, so now we'll just have these last 4 bolts and a bracket. So this kind of gives you a vantage point of why removing the fender before you took out the fender well actually might be a good idea, is because now I can get to the air box pretty well, the vacuum canister, the computer. Of course, this is where a vacuum hose could connect to. Not sure. Looks like a vacuum block. It looks like you could open or close it. I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. But now I could take off the rest of the stuff, which is really not much. There's just a couple pieces here, and then disconnect the mud guard from underneath and pull off this fender wheel well, and then we can move on to the core support. Okay, so I have everything removed from the wheel well. Found some mud dauber nests inside there. Fortunately, they're not active. And there should be only 3 bolts or so that holds this fender well on. It has some inserts that go into the frame that go through the little mud flap that keeps mud out of the engine bay that you'll have to pry out. There's where a tool like this would come in handy to pull those out. But you should be only 3 bolts, and that fender well should come right out. Okay, one more in the back. Okay, this should be the last one. It's bigger, 9/16, not a half. Oh, there it goes. It fell out of there. All righty. Okay, so now let's move on to the core support. Get some of these wires out of my way. One thing I want to do is wires that are off by themselves. Some wires are obvious what they go to. For example, this is the marker light. This is the, I don't know if you can even see it, but this is the turn. So let me do a different lighting so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. Yeah, it's gonna be over here. Okay. So some of the lights are pretty obvious. This goes to the headlight. This is a marker light. This is a turn. This is a marker light. This is a turn signal. And you can kind of tell what they are, but there are lights like what here, this little wire. I don't know if you can see it even on the camera, but it goes to the horn. So I have to mark that before I remove any more of that stuff. So I really don't want to forget where that went to. So what you do is you just take some masking tape, mark, and wrap it, and then mark it what it went to. But for now, we're just going to unplug the fan, to which someone has electrical taped quite a bit. Not cease to be amazed. All right. So I'm going to remove the radiator hose. I've already drained all the, well, there was no antifreeze, and it was water. So glad I got this before it got cold. Okay. Twist. Okay, we got it. All right, we're good. Okay, there's that. Now, let me see if I can pop these out. Don't lose these little clips. Here's a little bit. I just took a screwdriver here and pry it up. Again, same with this side. Okay, just enough to get the screwdriver in there, pry it out. I've already disconnected the wire, obviously, so pull the radiator fan. That is not much to speak of right there. All righty. All right, so I'm going to remove the bottom radiator hose, take out these two bolts, and the radiator should come out. All right, the only thing really to disconnect still is the hood latch cable, and then the two bolts that mount the core support to the frame, and this core support should come off. One, two, I see it down there. What I will do, just slide that right out of there. Okay, slide this out of here. Move my big old head. All right, now just to pull my cable out of the core support. We are out. Last two bolts, and the core support will be removed. All righty, so I got a helper with me. We're going to take out these two bolts and remove the core support. We'll break these free with my impact, or no, my large ratchet. Ooh, not like that. Well, the good news is it's not rusting through and it's coming out pretty easy. Okay, now to the next one. This is nice. And that one's out. That's that. There you go. Another bolt, another plate, covered in rust. All right, we'll take the core support out. Here, buddy, you want to get that side? It's not real heavy. Not heavy at all. Success! We got the whole front end of the truck removed. All we have there is a little tiny little engine. So now we are ready to take the engine out of the frame, except for I'd like to remove the cab, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that yet. But at least we are able to get access to every aspect of the engine. Should be a whole lot easier to work on. But we still have a job to do for the rest of the day, and that is to continue the disassembly of the cab. Okay, well, the next thing I want to do is remove this door. And the way where you start out with that is you remove the inside door panel. And so that's what we'll do first. And all you have to do to remove the panel is unscrew this off the lock mechanism. You got a screw in here, a screw in there. You got a screw holding the window crank to the door. Take that out, and then it just snaps in. And so you unsnap everything. Door panel comes out, slips up, comes off. I'm gonna put it in the corner. And then I have to take out a speaker wire that goes into the cab and get that taken out before I can remove the door. All righty, some lighters. Hey, a nickel. Put that in the pocket. Here's the screw where a hand will shut the door. Pull that. Okay, behind here, oops, don't want to lose that, is another screw. All right. And this takes a 5/32 Allen head. Okay. That's good. Put it over the top. There it is. Pretty simple. Like I said, the only thing I have to try to remove is the speaker wire. This truck doesn't have power windows. It doesn't have power locks. So the only power coming to this door here is to the speaker. All right. Okay. Well, I can just unplug this. Done. All right, so these are pretty simple. They just disconnect from here by hand, and you can just pull them up through, and there's your speaker wire. Simple as that, not real complicated. All right, let me go get my helper, and we'll remove this door. It's actually not real complicated. All you have to remove are these 3 bolts here, and those 3 bolts there, and open up the door, and the door will come off. Yeah, it sure did. Okay, just open the door. Yeah.
Okay.
You got it?
No, not really.
Okay, it's fine, it's fine. All right, here, hold on. I actually have a better idea. It's not that heavy of a door. I'll just take it, and then you go get the door for me. It's at the barn. Thank you. Just thought I'd give you a little shot of what this thing looks like without any of the body panels on it except for the cab. You would think before I done something like this, I thought this was going to be so much more work than what it actually was. I have probably spent a total of 4 or 5 hours, maybe, disassembling the truck to this point. And we're probably only 2 hours, if I really wanted to be, only 2 or 3 hours from completely removing the cab from the truck. I'm not doing that tonight, but it really isn't as much work as we make it out to be. All right, everybody, this is what I'm going to call it. I got quite a bit done today. I've spent a couple hours out here. I got the fender and the wheel well and the core support removed. I got this side door removed, and we are ready to move on into the interior of the truck. So what you can expect in the future is I'm going to take out the seat and all the little trim that's inside the part of the truck so I can remove the floor mat and see how it looks underneath there, and do some just investigation to see what this cab is going to take to bring it back up to speed. And then after that, we're going to pull this engine off of here and get it ready to be inspected as well to see what kind of condition it's in and if I can replace any parts to make it more reliable for the future. So that's what I have for you all today, guys. Hope you enjoy. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.